Hello boys and girls, this is Technically Challenged. Well, hello boys and girls, and welcome back to part 2 of Technically Challenged Genesis Rebuild. And yesterday you would have seen me strip apart and vodka bath my PT2. There's a top cap, drip tip, top part, base part, centre post sheath, seal number 1 and the number 2, the all important Pyrex tank. Here come all the fiddly bits. Oh, bloody hell. Number 1 screw, number 2 screw, number 1 thumb thing, number 2 thumb thing, number 3 thumb thing, and of course the centre post. Obviously don't need the vodka bath anymore, so I'll stick that to one side. Now this bit, obviously you want to start drying bits up, so I'll get on with that and see you in a second. Okay, let's just move this all back a bit so you can see everything that's going on. All dried off, all your component parts. One thing I will make a note of right here, right now, for you all is, please remember, not all rebuildables, especially Genesis atomizers, go together the same way this one will. There is as different as you as I. The technique we're concentrating on that should be universal to all is the coiling and re-wicking using stainless steel mesh. So this is my bottom part. Make sure that Delrin insert is always in there. Okay, that will stop shorts. I like to pop it out just a little bit, so when you pop the old centre pin back in, it doesn't wobble about. Of course, the seal, pre-checked for perishing. This is the top part with the seal. Again, reinstall. Get that all set to one side. Pyrex bit. Remember what I said about this yesterday? Generally the bottom part will have a shorter cut down than the top. So let's get that screwed back in. There we go. Nice metal knuckles going there. Put that on there. And let's get screwed on nice and tight to avoid leakage. There you go. Almost completely and utterly reassembled. Centre pin through the bottom, nice and gentle, all the way through to the top. Now, this can be a bit fiddly depending on what one you've got. See that on the bottom there, it's just a tiny bit proud. That's good to ensure a good connection. Just make sure we get our fill screws back in. I just need to make sure which one is which now. Doopy doopy doo. There we go. And one will hold down my negative, and one will hold down my positive. And please note I've got that completely arse about face. That screw goes in there. And this one in there. Now this one is usually my fill hole. Some people like to leave that open. I personally like to leave mine shut. And your first 2 thumb screwy bits, unless you're using the spring method that I mentioned yesterday, going on like that. All the way down to the Delrin. Try not to over tighten it too much. Sorry if I'm going off shot for this, but is fiddly, and I'm doing this at a weird angle that I'm normally doing it at, which is more akin to this, and of course my knuckle gets in the way. And why aren't you threading, you wee batard? Try that way. There we go. And lastly, your third one. Okay, we don't want that one out too tight because we'll need to undo that to put our coil in on the positive. So there we go, that's that. Pre-made wick from yesterday, all nicely set up, should just slot in nicely like that. Now you can see that's a bit short, that one, so I'm probably going to have to either remake or fiddle about. Okay folks, right then, here we go. Time to cut some of the Canthal. Be right back. Unfortunately, due to me being a bit of a pillock, I've had to bugger off and make another wick because the original one is too short. I rolled it the wrong way on the 30mm rather than the 35. So anyway, there we go, fresh wick, which again should just slot in nicely. Look at that, that's a bit better. Lines up nicely with the top there. Now then, the fun part. Sleepy diff, ribbon. As you know, I like to flame mine, take a little bit of the tension out. Remember, it's ultra high heat resistant, but it's also conductive, so when you get pretty close to it, that's going to get hot. I find this increases the resistance a little bit as well. Don't need to do that as much as you did it to the old coil itself, wick. Your negative is always going to be fairly close to the wick itself, so that'll be the one. We'll nip that off just a little bit, and we'll take our coil, cinch it in place. I like to have it fairly close to the wick itself, and just nip it down. There you go, that's that. Now, because I'm using ribbon, I have to twist up a little bit. A little trick I use is I wrap loosely initially, okay, and one stage at a time with something fairly pointy. Try and get it low, and then wrap around again. Key here, I find, is uniformity. So whilst it's still fairly malleable, and try not to wrap too tightly either. Uses uniformity really bodging this up. And there we go, there's a fourth wrap on there. Now I always go that way when I do my final wrap. You'll see why in a bit. You see there's a bit of closeness there. Now this is what we enter the jiggery pokery phase, as I like to call it, because you've got to faff about with that coil quite a lot before you'll get any form of uniformity of burn and glow. So as you can see there, that's relatively uniform, except for that bit there. Let's try and space that out a bit. So I mean about not wrapping it too tight. Then we nip off our top, again twist it up so it's all nice and flat, get it in there, and I use the forceps for this part and just nip that off. Now before we start cutting off any bits, we test. Now most of you know I like my sub-ohm, so this will most likely bring up around about 0.8. So on your most of your nice fancy variable voltage, this won't fire. Now I'm just going to have a little tinker, make sure everything's okay and cushy. And I think we're alright. I think we might just well be alright there. Our tiddlers. So, oh dear. There's a problem straight off. It's not nipping down correctly. Probably because I'm a dullard and not checking. That age old carpenter's thing. Measure twice, cut once. Applies to this as well. Double check everything before you even think of firing up. Because the frustration of a popped coil, any of my contemporaries will tell you, is horrible. There we go. I think we're alright there. Yep. Right. Now best off testing on a slightly drained battery, which is what this one is. As you can see, I've got a dripper from last time on. Now, as you see, there's nothing in the tank at the moment, and we're going to do what's called pulsing. Now, look at that, nice and even. Top 3 coils line up nicely, 4th coming in, and of course every time you do this you'll build up a bit of carbon every time. And just pulse it. This may take a while. Be right back. Right, as you can see, I've now trimmed it up. We're looking nice and elegant. Let's see if we can get that firing again. There we go, look at that. Nice and even. Bit hot in the middle. So spacing's out a bit. See how that changes. There we go, nice even glow. Time to fill her up. Now what shall we have? I know. Shall we? But I should be even thin enough to go straight into the filler now. Let's find out, shall we, live on camera. The new fin caps from vapingking.co.uk. As you can see, it gets foggy on the inside of the tank because of all the excess water that's left. Oh, look at that, straight in. Nice fill of the Fury's Kiss in the tank. Be right back. So, here we go. Look at that, nice bit of vapour coming off of that. Let's get the old screw back on. Like I said, some people leave these fill screws out. I leave mine in. I hate leaks. Now always with your Genesis, make sure your air hole is lined up with your wick. Optimum performance. There you have it. Freshly wicked Aga tea. Oh, that's good. Oh, that is very good. I remember last night that actually caused a bit of a flare on the lens, but here we go. Nice decent bit of vapour. I reckon if I enlarge that hole a bit, I get quite a hit of vapour. Very good flavour with the old Genesis style atomizers. Of course, it's the theory of coiling and making the wick that we're looking at here, not the actual atomizer itself. So there you have it, Technically Challenged to Part 2 Genesis style atomizer. Hope that helps. I've been the Fury 79. You've been gorgeous, and this juice certainly is. Fury's Kiss, vapingking.co.uk. Peace.